This romance starts with an ugly premise. A pregnant woman is married off to a stranger, then has to discover whether a forced arrangement can become real love. The story begins in 1944 during World War II. A train cuts across the wide Colorado landscape, carrying Livy Dune away from Denver and toward a life she never chose. Livy is educated, sophisticated, and studying archaeology in graduate school. She also carries a secret that has destroyed her plans. She is pregnant by Edward Brown, a Navy flight instructor who came into her life during a brief leave and then disappeared when she needed him most. Livy's father is a minister, and he is far more concerned with the family's reputation than with his daughter's feelings. To cover up the pregnancy, he arranges for Livy to marry a farmer in a remote Colorado town. That farmer is Ray Singleton, a man Livy has never met. She knows nothing about him beyond his name, yet she is traveling to become his wife. Ray already knows the truth. Another minister has explained Livy's pregnancy and the reason for the rushed arrangement. Still, Ray agrees to accept her and raise the baby as his own. He does not interrogate or shame her. He is nervous too, because Livy is a graduate student from the city while he is a solitary farmer tied to his ancestral land. He understands that their backgrounds seem worlds apart, but he is willing to give her a home. Their wedding takes place almost immediately after Livy steps off the train. There is no gown, celebration, or proper ring. Ray never prepared one because he did not expect Livy to want him. When the minister asks whether she is willing, Livy's hand trembles around her glass, but she says she does not need a ring. It only symbolizes love, and if she does not love the man wearing it, having one changes nothing. The two strangers exchange vows, promising hope in sadness, strength after disappointment, and faith whenever doubt takes over. The words sound beautiful, but to Livy, they are almost impossible to comprehend. She has no idea how to live on Ray's land or keep a promise she never freely made. After the ceremony, Livy meets Ray's older sister, Martha. Martha served as their witness, and she greets the new bride with a warm smile and a home-cooked meal. She knows Livy must be exhausted from the journey, so she welcomes her without judgment. The whole family seems ready to make room for her. Livy, however, is too frightened to relax. Ray's home sits in the middle of open fields, nearly 8 miles from the nearest neighbor. Livy is used to a city, libraries, telephones, and the constant presence of other people. The isolation reminds her of the years when she cared for her mother alone, and loneliness is the one thing she has never learned to tolerate. She keeps telling herself that this is only an arrangement. Ray may be her husband on paper, but emotionally, she still feels like a guest in his house. She follows Ray through the rooms carefully, as if even the furniture belongs to someone else. Ray has prepared for her arrival by fixing the faucet, installing hot water, and placing flowers in the bedroom. He gives Livy a shy, hopeful smile, but she barely notices. She is too busy searching for a telephone and a way back to the world she understands. The nearest library and telephone office are an hour away. Their first dinner is painfully awkward, because Livy and Ray seem to live in 2 separate universes. Their doors keep opening at different times, and every attempt at conversation dies before it can become anything real. The next morning, Livy wakes to find Ray already gone. She walks carefully through his room and studies the things that define him: thick notebooks, plain work clothes, and an old pocket watch resting on the table. For the first time, Ray begins to look less like a stranger and more like a real person with a history. When Ray's truck returns, Livy asks to go into town to make a call and mail a letter. Ray drops his work and drives her there. While she uses the telephone, he visits the library and checks out a cookbook and a book about Heinrich Schliemann, the archaeologist she once mentioned. He keeps track of the things she likes so he can make her new life a little easier. Ray remembers every small detail she shares. He also teaches Livy how to drive the truck. She learns quickly, and on the ride home, the silence between them finally begins to crack. They talk about crops, the farm, the truck's mechanical problems, and the small routines of life in town. These are not subjects Livy would once have considered important, but they give the two of them a place to start. The townspeople know why Livy has come, but protect the couple's privacy and give them a chance at happiness. They may understand the secret, but no one wants gossip to destroy the new couple before they have even had a chance to begin. On a bright afternoon, Ray takes Livy fishing at a lake, away from the watchful women in town. As the wind moves through her hair, Ray steals shy glances. Livy notices that his steady presence makes her feel safe, and the unfamiliar land begins to feel less threatening. Livy befriends Florence and Rose Umahara, Japanese-American sisters who work on the nearby farm. They were college students before being sent to an internment camp, so they understand what it means to have a life interrupted by forces beyond their control. Their energy makes them feel almost like butterflies running through the fields, and Livy quickly sees them as friends rather than enemies. The three women share soda, talk about old dreams, and compare their families. Florence and Rose even offer to make Livy a dress. For the first time since arriving, Livy has people around her who understand both her education and her loneliness. Ray remains guarded around them. Like many Americans, he is suspicious after Pearl Harbor, where his younger brother Daniel died. He knows Florence and Rose are innocent, but grief keeps him distant. He is not openly cruel to them, yet he cannot forget the brother he lost or the war that took him. As the weeks pass, Livy learns to run a household. She makes an omelet with far too much pepper. Ray takes one bite and starts breathing fire, but turns away to drink water so he will not embarrass her. Then Ray starts digging a swimming pool for Livy and the children they may have someday. She never asked for it, but Ray keeps building whatever might make her feel at home. Livy watches him struggle with the digging machine and realizes that his affection is not a speech or a promise. It is something he does with his hands every day. At a local dance, Livy does not know how to join in. Ray sits with her, lets her move to the music, and brings up archaeology when farm talk loses her. He is trying to meet her in her world, even though she still feels like an outsider in his. Eventually, they dance together for the first time. Livy places her hand on Ray's shoulder and lets him guide her around the floor. Later, she asks about his planting plans, and they share a quiet smile. It is the first time they speak as a couple rather than as two people trapped in an agreement. The distance between them has not disappeared. Livy still cannot accept Ray's kiss, but back in their room, her racing heart tells her that her feelings are changing. Livy's sister Abby soon visits while Abby's husband serves in the military. Livy is thrilled to see her, but Abby is shocked by the farm and the isolation. She urges Livy to return to Denver and continue her education, where she could escape the marriage and recover the future she had planned. Abby suggests claiming that Ray is drunk or violent so no one would question Livy's departure. Livy refuses. Ray is gentle, works from dawn until exhaustion, and has never given her a reason to lie about him. She knows that inventing a cruel story would be easy, but it would be completely unfair to Ray. Ray gives the sisters room to talk, understanding that Livy misses her family. But part of Livy still belongs to Edward Brown, who appeared when she was lonely and vanished when she became vulnerable. Livy secretly sends Edward letter after letter, but no answer comes. At first, she waits with hope, then the silence becomes humiliating. As the waiting turns painful, Ray's singing, smiles, and patience begin to affect her. Without noticing it, Livy is beginning to find comfort in the life she once wanted to escape. Livy's friendship with Florence and Rose grows stronger. Ray eventually lets them visit the farm, where Livy realizes Florence is in love with a young man named Walter. Florence asks Livy to meet Walter in an abandoned shelter filled with old belongings. To the archaeology student, it is a treasure room. She finds artifacts and arrowheads, then rushes home to tell Ray about the discovery. The objects may look worthless to everyone else, but to Livy, they are pieces of a vanished world. Ray sees the objects as junk, while Livy sees a link to the future she thought she had lost. He has spent his life clearing away things that no longer serve a practical purpose, so he does not understand her excitement. When he treats the objects like trash, she loses her temper. Ray realizes his mistake after she explains their meaning. Ray shows Livy more family belongings and places to search for history. He wants to repair the damage and prove that he is willing to understand her world. She cleans and displays the objects, while Ray learns to respect her connection to the past. At the family cemetery, Ray tells Livy that he was supposed to enlist, but Daniel insisted he stay on the farm. Daniel went instead and died at Pearl Harbor, leaving Ray with survivor's guilt. Ray has never been able to accept that he survived while his younger brother did not. Livy sees tears in Ray's eyes and reaches out to touch his back. For the first time, she understands their wedding promise. When one person is hurt, the other lends strength. Ray has a telephone installed, and Livy plants flowers by the front door. The seeds seem to represent the feelings growing between them, but winter arrives too soon. The plants cannot survive the cold, and the fragile peace between Livy and Ray is about to break as well. One night, Ray comes home furious and pushes the family dog back outside. Livy is confused because she only brought the dog indoors to protect it from the snow. Ray is usually so patient that his anger feels completely out of character. Then Ray shows her Edward's letter. He now knows Livy has been writing to another man and never told Edward she was married. The letter brings no reunion. Edward offers no future and refuses responsibility for the child, turning months of silence into outright rejection. Ray is hurt that Livy still loves someone else and hid it while accepting his care. Seeing his pain, Livy knows she has wounded the one person who never punished her. The next morning, Livy apologizes with breakfast. Ray says he remembers how his father cared for his mother and promised to treat Livy with the same devotion, even knowing she might leave. He has been winding the old family watch since she arrived, trying to keep that promise in his own quiet way. Ray asks Livy whether any of his love has mattered to her. The question breaks through her defenses. She knows she has been unfair, but she also knows that apologizing cannot erase the damage. Livy tells Martha she is leaving. Martha does not condemn her. She only says that if Livy is determined to go, she should leave rather than stay out of guilt. Another letter confirms that Edward has abandoned her and will not claim the baby. Ray has shown more courage and responsibility than the man Livy once loved. Livy convinces herself that leaving will restore Ray's old life. She gives one of the young women a dress as a keepsake, announces her departure, and is shaken by nightmares about her mother. The thought of leaving still feels easier than admitting how much she has come to care about Ray. Ray finds her and gently asks what is wrong. Livy admits that loneliness led her into a decision she may regret forever, and that her old idea of love was partly a fantasy built around a man who was never willing to stay. She finally understands that Edward's return was never the future she thought it was. Ray's love is patient and observant. He studies archaeology because it matters to Livy, accepts her old belongings, protects her dignity, and makes room for her family. He knows farming, weather, and the land, but he is willing to learn about ancient history and the parts of Livy's life he cannot immediately understand. His care is not a bargain or a demand for repayment. He does it because he loves her. On the night Livy is supposed to leave, Ray brings the dog back inside and sits nervously by the stove. He tells her that her arrival was never a burden. He knew the whole story and knew she might leave, but he still accepted Livy and the child she carried. Ray asks Livy to stay. If she is willing, he will search for archaeological treasures with her, give her his mother's wedding ring, and try to build a real family. He does not demand an answer or use the marriage agreement against her. He only asks for the chance to try. Livy remembers Martha asking what she truly feels for Ray. The answer is now clear. Through bad omelets, long drives, farm work, awkward dances, and quiet songs, Livy has fallen in love with him. The ring does not trap Livy. It gives her the courage to stop running. She chooses Ray, not because her father ordered her to marry him, but because she has finally seen the difference between being rescued and being loved. There is still one problem. Florence's boyfriend Walter is not an American soldier. Livy recognizes his German accent and realizes that Florence made his uniform. Walter is a German prisoner of war trying to escape, and Florence and Rose could face serious consequences, even charges of treason, for helping him cross the border. Florence is too blinded by love to understand the danger. Livy warns her, but Florence will not listen, so Livy takes control. Livy drives the sisters and Walter away from the camp, drops the sisters off, and brings Walter to the farm. She tells him to change out of the uniform and leaves the truck keys where he can find them. Walter thinks he has a clear path to freedom, unaware that Ray's truck has a broken gas gauge and an almost empty tank. The gauge reads full, but Livy knows the truck cannot carry him far. Walter drives away, believing the gauge is full. Livy waits until he is far enough down the road, then calls the police and reports that her truck has been stolen by a German prisoner. She also asks for a doctor because labor has begun. Before the authorities arrive, Livy burns the uniform that could connect Florence and Rose to Walter. She also removes the locket containing Edward's picture and throws it into the flames. As the uniform and photograph disappear, Livy lets go of the last fantasy she has been carrying. Ray races home as soon as he hears the news. He quickly calls for help and takes Livy to the hospital. There, she gives birth to a baby boy. They name him Daniel, after Ray's brother. When Ray holds the child, the empty place at the family table finally feels full. Daniel does not erase Ray's grief, but gives it new meaning. Ray sings the song his father once sang, his face full of love. He is grateful for the child and even more grateful to Livy for bringing him into the world. Martha watches the scene from a distance and cries quietly. The family that once seemed strange and suffocating to Livy has become the family that teaches her what love actually looks like. Time passes. Livy fully settles into the Singleton household, and the confusion she carried when she first arrived is gone. She stands in the breeze and looks out across the peaceful fields with a genuine smile. The remote town gives Livy more than fields and old family history. It gives her a home with abandoned shelters, open grasslands, and stories beneath ordinary soil. Most importantly, it gives her a family that teaches her to accept love, take responsibility, and find courage in ordinary life. That's all for today's movie recap. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like, comment, and share. I'll see you in the next one.